For the afternoon session, we have Norbert Preining, who is a principal software engineer at Archive, Cornell University. He is a researcher, developer, and open source enthusiast. Norbert, it's over to you.
Hi everyone. So, I mean, this is not archive related, it just happens that I'm also in the FOSSASIA team and care for a bit or a lot for the EventYay system. So the EventYay system, for example, the website of the conference here is run by the EventYay system. That is actually run by an old version, which we don't develop anymore. We just do bug fixes. We are working towards a new EventYay system. This is, you see parts of it. I mean, there's much more than this one here, parts of here already here on this page. Just to give you an idea, the new system will be used by the Wikimania conference. This is a huge conference with thousands of participants. So we are working on getting this, well, into a considerable stable state. My talk today is like actually boring. Because you could just read the document I wrote, which explains everything. So that would be the end of the workshop, but I will go with you through this just in case there are problems. Setting up the EventYay system, the new, is not trivial because it's several different programs or microservices running and communicating with each other. So at the moment for development, we have, it's not necessary, but what is the easiest way to get everything connected and working is running in a Docker Compose. I will go through this setup here today. You can run things locally. This is also not a problem, but then you need a bit of more work to connect the pieces. I am working on a documentation for setup without Docker, because it would be much easier for developers, but that is ongoing work, so yeah, it will take a bit more time, because I'm also Muslim. Yeah, so this is a workshop. If you have a computer and want to follow along, feel free. Internet is available. What you need is preferable Linux machine or WSL. I'm not sure WSL works. Docker, NPM, Git, I mean, things you normally anyway have, hopefully on your computer, and Docker Compose. These are more or less the basic things. Yeah, any questions? If something is not readable or unclear or whatever, I mean, it's a workshop, so it's not, I just speak the whole time, just stop me or ask or whatever is going on. Okay? So how do I do this? Do you have something to? No, come now, you don't. So as I said, this is the website. Of course, there are a lot of, no, it's okay. No, please. So this is the current which we are running. We don't set up this page because there are a few other things on the background, but somehow the basic setup of this page is what we want to have. So yeah, well, it's not so important. So what I want to say, it's practically, I say it actually it's boring because there is a readme.development.md in the EventYay Docker. So just to give you an idea, so this is in the FOSSASIA, no here, in the FOSSASIA GitHub repo, so we have an organization, and there is EventYay Docker is one of these, and that contains this readme development MD. Is this too small or it's not, that's not me, I have to say. Make it a bit bigger. That's too much. Okay, so yeah, there is a, and this is actually what we're going through. It's not very complicated, or it's a bit, but yeah, it's everything described. So as I mentioned, there's Docker Compose, NPM, and Git is necessary. If you want to contribute, then we require you to make forks of these 4 repositories. If you only want to contribute one, then you just make a fork of the one you are working on. So these are 4 components of the EventYay system we have. We have another system that is not included here at the moment, but that will come later on. So normally, well, let's prepare working directory. I have it already here. I call it FOSSASIA EventYay workshop, and then I start cloning my the stuff. So I just the FOSSASIA GitHub is this one here. Then I'd leave this out, and then let's clone these 4 repositories. This will take a bit of time. Oops. So there is, I will not do this here now because I will not commit anything here, but in principle you can just add your personal clone here as a remote, and then, I mean, I think I don't have to explain how Git works or GitHub works, so that you just push your development branches to your own personal clone and make a pull request from there. This I will skip today. And yeah, a bit more. So we are finished, everything is checked out. Just to tell you, so what we have now, these 4 directories: EventYay, Docker, Talk, Tickets, and Video. So the next step is to build Docker images, right? So as I said before, we run everything in Docker Compose, so you need for this local, for your local deployment, you need Docker images. And so I prepared in all the make files, there is a target make local, which creates a Docker image, a bit a specific Docker image for local development, based on your user ID, so things that you can easily run it, and then the files are based on your user ID. Let's do this, go into the EventYay Talk and run it, make local. So this is then now a normal Docker buildix. You see here, we just built for the normal Linux, and we add here build arguments, the UID and the group ID. The reason behind this is that you can then, the files that are generated within the Docker have your user ID and group ID, so it's easily readable, writable for you. These are a few more things that are changed in this development build. Yeah, this is. Is anyone following along, or? It will probably take a bit longer for you because I just built it before and tried that everything works. So the build was actually quite fast. Yeah, so but take care. What is this? No, it's so. I didn't touch the, okay. So this is not pushed anywhere, right? This is a Docker image that you build locally. We don't push it. It's just because you develop with it, you might make changes. So don't push it. We will see later on, we actually don't have to rebuild this always, because as long as there are no changes in the main structure, you can just edit code, because the code is mounted into the running Docker image. So you can, on your normal system, edit the files, and it will be reflected in the Docker image. So when this is done, we do the same with EventYay tickets. Again, this is fast now on my machine because they were built just half an hour before. You probably, if you run it on yours, it will probably take much longer, because you have to pull the base image, and then it does Debian install and npm install and all this kind of stuff. Yeah, I'm not sure. Should I wait for your runs being finished, or? Yeah, I guess. Yeah, but okay, I mean, yeah. So the basic idea, what we will do later on with this image, is we run them in Docker Compose and mount the local sources into the Docker image also, so you then can edit on your local machine like a normal, and the changes will be reflected in the Docker image, which makes it convenient. If you change something like on the outside the Python code, things like how things are startup, of course, then you have to rebuild the Docker image. But as long as you just do Python code editing, then the changes will be immediately carried over into the development environment. So there is no need to redo this every time. Okay, that is something at the same time, everyone who runs the Docker image can probably do this at the same time, do run this magic invocation. Don't ask me what they are doing. Sorry, I'm not a front-end guy. So everything that NPM or whatever does is like black magic to me. If someone here has more experience how this can be sped up or improved, I'm more than happy for any any contributions, because I just don't know how anything NPM or Vue related runs. Sorry about this. I copied it from some other setup and it seems to be necessary. Don't ask me. Yeah. So that I don't know why this NPM always takes so much time. It's like, oh, thanks a lot. How is the Docker build going? I forgot to put this. This needs to be done, this part here needs to be done in the EventYay Docker directory. So don't do it outside. Go into the EventYay Docker directory and call these 4 lines. In principle, it generates a data directory and subdirectories. So the setup is there is a directory config that contains all the configuration files, and data is where data that is generated during the build, during the run, the database, everything's in the data directory. So if you want to have a clean start, just delete the whole data directory and recreate it here. This is only, it's just changing the UID and group ID. I mean, it should be anyway automatically in this way. Yeah. And then there is one step, so there is this env example. So, of course, for a real setup, all these passwords should not be like, what is it, change me, whatever. Also the configuration files, but this is not the only place where this password is set. So if you, in the config directory, there is, for example, if you look into talk and pre-talks config, there is also this change me, the user and the password for the Postgres database. So if you do a real setup, of course you have to change this Postgres user, Postgres password, and a lot of other configuration. The configuration here, files, pre-talks and pre-ticks, they all contain like the secrets for the database, for the connection of the database, but also some other like client ID and client secrets. These are all things that you don't have to do for local development because you don't expose it to the web, hopefully. But you have to do it for a real deployment in case you want to ever do this. So yes, this .env .example, you just have to copy to .env. You don't have to change anything at the moment. These last 3 lines, just in case, because I tripped over it, it's important. Why is this still running? This is incredible. So you see here in the EventYay Docker directory, I have this config directory and I need to make the data directory. I haven't made it. And these environment variables point to the directories you checked out. So if you rename them or put them in other directories, you have to change them, because those directories are mounted into the Docker images, into the Docker container, so that you can edit them, the files directly there, and it is reflected in the Docker Docker container automatically. If this is pointing to the wrong direction or the wrong directory, then everything breaks down. It happened just to me before. Where we have been here. So you see this, we have done, this we have done, this we have done, this we have done, this done. Stop. Yeah, mine is also running. You see this is, oh, finished, finally. it took like 5 minutes to generate how much? 1 megabyte, 2 megabyte of JavaScript. Very efficient. Well, you're still there? You should open the README development and copy from there. That would probably be easier. Because so then let me also create this data stuff myself. Now I have to go into the EventYay Docker. So we are here. Yes. Let's create these directories. That is fast. So we have here now like the config directory. The data is I just created. This is for local and config. You see here the files of the config directory are actually checked in. So there is the web service, EventYay app for the front. The others are actually not necessary. We only run EventYay app at the moment. The Postgres, Docker entrance, nothing to edit here actually. If you want to change something, you have to change the pre-talks config, predix config, and valueless config, and this one EventYay. And that's it practically. Let's go back to here. So we have done here. No, that I haven't done. Env. We don't need to change anything here because everything is set up like this. What's the state of those who are running? Docker image done? Okay, good. How's the state here? Building? Oh, well, it was finished, right? Yeah. All 3 Docker images are built? Perfect. Building, yeah, okay, well. You can at least do these kind of things. The .env file you can set up in the meantime, and while the Docker runs, you can also, so the setup for in this example uses the URLs app.eventyay.com and video.eventyay.com. Now, if you run it locally, you don't want to point it to the actual eventyay.com server. You want app.eventyay to point to localhost, so you have to edit as root normally the etc hosts file and enter this here. Right? I just show it here. You see I have a lot of entries here. So and there is, for example, the 1, 2 servers, so the local host for app EventYay and the same entry for video EventYay. This you have to enter. And then after this you should also check this actually works by pinging it. One-hand typing, I love it. So you see it connects to the local host. This is nice. And maybe video. And well, if you in case you want then actually access the real one, you have to remove this again. Don't wonder while then suddenly app EventYay is not reachable. So this is during development. You could change the URLs to something completely different. I will probably make a new document when I run it locally to try to change it, but many things are quite fragile because the Nginx configuration would need to be changed. There are a lot of places if you change the name, the deployment name, the URL. There are a lot of places you have to change, so it's rather shaky to just use an arbitrary name. So it's the easiest way is to just point these server names to your local host. Yeah. Yes. Yeah, okay, it's a good point. Yes, interesting comment from Marco. So we have everything, so the architecture, I cannot write somewhere. So the architecture is that in the Docker Compose, there are a lot of services. There is the original ticket, talk, and video component. Then there is 2 Redis servers. Then there is a Postgres database. And in the Docker Compose is also an Nginx. The Nginx runs on this app.eventyay.com and then distributes to the respective ticket, talk, video components in the Docker Compose. So there is only one entrance, and this is app.eventyay.com. The video is necessary because out of WebSockets and connecting from the outside, during development it's not that important. So every connection goes to app.eventyay.com and then tickets, and this is then rerouted by the Nginx Docker container to the ticket container. So in principle, you don't have to set up anything outside. You don't have to have whatever, Nginx or Apache running or anything. Everything is in the Docker Compose and everything. So there's a lot of logic in this Nginx configuration that distributes requests depending on the URL. If the URL finishes with ticket, it goes to the ticket container. If it finishes with talk, it goes to the talk container. It finishes with video or web app or something, it goes to the video container. And so that from the outside, you just have one entry point. This is this app.eventyay.com, and inside everything is automatically distributed. That is, I'm not, probably for local development you don't need it. I haven't tried it. In principle, if later on, if you want to actually try out a video stream, the server connects, the client connects to video dot. Probably, good question, maybe you know.
So I think it might just be left over that
Yeah.
wasn't removed. Because like we also move video to /video. However, the access to video is actually through a token, which is different to the ticket and the talk component, which are sharing the single sign-on.
Yeah. Yeah, so let's say many things are moving target. Just throw it in to be safe. It doesn't hurt. We will probably, when everything has stabilized a bit and also more easy to reproduce, we will have a much easier setup with just putting in one place the URL. That will come in the hopefully near future. The current state is that it needs a bit of work. So in principle, if your builds are ready, we are ready to actually start the whole bunch. I just wait that all your Docker builds are finished and the stuff. No? NPM is right. NPM for now is not a problem. That is, yes, you need it. Yeah. But the Docker stuff is finished. So maybe, so for those, because we have this Docker Compose dev, maybe I go through this for people know a bit. So what I just said, so there are a lot of services. So one is this talk component, and you see also the Docker images all use this .local. This is, be reminded, this is Docker Compose dev. This is the YAML file that is only for local development. Uses this local here. And then you see here that we mount a lot of data into, so we mount the configuration in there, then the data, and for local development, because we want to change the files locally, we mount the talk repository itself into the pretext inside the container, so we can just add it on our own system directly, and it is mounted into the container. And this practically the same is ticket for here. There are some dependencies because all these clients require the Postgres server running and the Redis server running. But ticket and talk is very parallel, so they have actually the same. The video component is a bit more complicated because it needs more environment variable setups and also another Redis. But again, we just mounting the configuration, the data directory, and the code of the repository. The video web app actually uses the same Docker image. It just has a different entry point. It uses this NPM, well, you know the magic. Then there, as I mentioned before, there is a Postgres image that runs, that contains all the databases for all the three. Well, actually there are only 2 databases, but 3. So they are created here. So this is from, yeah, that uses a bit of magic, because the normal Docker for Postgres only allows setting up one database. And so there is a way, by providing an entry point script that is also checked in here, that you can create multiple databases in the Postgres Docker image. It runs also a health check, quite normal. Then we have 2 Redis running. Yeah, EventYay video somehow wants to have 2 different Redis, I'm not sure. And then there is, as I said before, Nginx. This runs the whole logic of distributing requests from the main entry point, the Nginx, to the different Docker images. And this is based on this repository here. So it's a Docker image that contains Nginx and Certbot for the SSL authentication. So in a normal circumstances, you would just have Certbot authentication. Lots of things can be set here. For local development, we use this use local CA. What does it mean is that it creates a local certification authority. It just creates with OpenSSL something, creates a certificate, self-signs the certificate, and uses this. Why is this necessary? Because between the components, we have webhooks, and the webhooks require an SSL certificate. Without the SSL certificate, the webhooks will not be executed, and the certificate needs also be in the trusted store. So that is a bit inconvenient, let's put it this way. Yeah. And so this watchtower, that is not really important. So on the real deployment, we use this for the updates. Watchtower is a very convenient system. It watches Docker containers running, and if it finds a newer image, then it restarts the deployment automatically with the newer image. So this is just because it's in the main configuration file. Yeah, that is. How is the state with the NPM build? I love it. Well, then we wait a bit longer. Yeah. Have time till 2:30, right? Yes. Yes. So the question is that the current passwords for the Postgres database are saved into multiple configuration files, and whether we can unify this, right? I don't know. I need to check. At the moment, as far as I see, the ticket and talk configuration require the data to be saved into the configuration file. I'm not sure that we can use .env files to get this, or environment variables to get the password into the ticket and talk components. If this would be possible, then we could run everything with .env files, but yeah. No, the problem is you want to replace on the fly the pretix.config file entry. Yes. use this for the.
So what I'm thinking is like, could you load some .env file into your environment, and then, I mean,
Yeah, so what one could, so as I said, of course, I can set the password in the .env file, then it is in the environment, but the ticket code, I don't know whether the ticket or the Python code reads it from the environment or only from the configuration file.
no, can the configuration file point to an environment variable?
Oh,
So when you run, you
it
say
will redirect to environment variable, you mean?
yes. I mean, I think it would only get it at startup time.
Yeah, I know what you mean. So I don't know. I don't think this is directly supported. Nice project for a GSOC or for a student to just add proper dealing with environment variables set for a secret. Definitely a good idea. At the moment, I don't know, so you have to change it in all the files. It's not optimal, I agree, because especially secret management should not be in multiple configuration files, but yeah, that's the current state. Something we can work on. What is the build state? I can at least show what the next step is. So after this, you run this magic command. So it runs. It requires it requests to run based on this specific Docker composed development YAML file, and the -d sends all processes in the background. Yeah, so that does, let's run this. So it creates then, you see, it creates the network. Why is this so strange? It creates the network, the Redis, the Postgres, all the tickets, so quite a lot of services. If you then look into the, yeah, it's a bit, yeah, you see all the services running, so you have the Nginx, this is the main entrance. So just a warning, in case you have a web server running on your machine, right? I mean, some distributions automatically start up Apache or something. This will fail because the embedded Nginx container wants to run port 80 and 443. If you have already on the outside, so in your operating system, web server running on any of the port 80 or 443, you have to stop it before running the Docker Compose, because otherwise the port, I mean, only one process can listen to a certain port. And then there's the video component, the ticket component, the doc component, the web app video component, Redis, Postgres, and the watchtower. So everything runs. And then we can do Docker compose -f, Docker compose dev logs -f. So then you see there is a lot going on, there was a lot going on, right? It is rebuilding everything. That is something that actually from the NPM side, it would be great that it's fixed, because it seems to rebuild the NPM stack every time you boot it up. I don't know why, again. After some time, like I was talking, so after some time, there should be no log anymore. It should just settle down, right? Everything is running, nothing crashed. The logs don't put anything out anymore, and we have all the services running. You see they're all up 2 minutes now. That's okay. That is something important. After you have kicked off and started all this, don't go to the respective URLs. You first, if you go to the URLs and browse there, it will host the system. You first have to log into the container and set up the super user and connect them. The reason is that the same user needs to be set up on Talk and Ticket so that the cross login, that you only have to log in once and then you are logged in everywhere. So if you have come up to here and everything is running, then you have to log into the EventYay ticket once. This is this line here, docker exec ti, so that everyone hopefully knows what this is. Then you cd and then you call pretix. It's all written here, right? Pretix create super user. So that will crumble a bit. Blah, 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 blah. There are warnings. We should look into this. There are things that needs to be fixed that showed up recently. And then it asks for a username and password. So okay, that's it. Just remember the password and the username. Don't forget it. I mean, that's obvious. You also have to do the same now with EventYay. Oh, I did it in the wrong order, but it's not important. So I did ticket. No, I did ticket already. So I now have to do the same with Talk. And then in Talk, the command is pre-talks init. It's a bit different, right? Sorry. But again, it does something. Whatever, and then ask you, here you have to enter the same username and the same password. So, I mean, you don't have to, but if you don't do, it's very inconvenient, or not actually working properly. What did I use? Hello world, right? Yeah. So now we have both in Ticket and Talk, we have set up the super user and created the initial user. And the setup is now done. You can actually now go to, if you have already changed that, you can go here and it will show you that the connection is not private. Why? Because it is a self-signed certificate that we created locally, so the browser will warn you on the first entrance, so you have to say go advanced and yes, trust me on that one. And then you go head over here, and then you can log in here. And we are here with empty, and you can, at the same time, you can also go then to the Talk component. And you click on login, and if you use the same username and password, you should be automatically logged in, right? So the problem is here, so the accounts are connected. Now, if you wrong different passwords, then it doesn't work. So that's the reason I said use the same username and password, then you are logged in, and then means we have this more or less running. You can then go to the original, so the entrance. This is the dashboard, my events. You can create new events. So I'm not in, we don't have organizers. Yeah, so we have to go into admin mode and then create a new organizer like I'll just create some whatever, an organizer, and then my events, and let's create an event like post tickets and video and FOOorg and let's say English and what? No Japanese? Depressing. No,
Maybe.
it's just only English. Otherwise, I have to enter too many things. Then, so whatever event, you can set it to a random string, or you just put something here. Then you, let's say, let's start in 25 to 28. Currency, nothing to done. Continue, and then we are done. You can go to tickets for this event. You can create, well, I mean, that is a different topic, right? I mean, how to maintain the system. I don't want to go into details here, so but you have practically a system running now that can have organizers, can have create events that have both ticket and talk components and video components, and all this runs now locally on your machine. So everyone uses the same password, so please don't expose your stuff to the wild world or whatever. That is more or less here. I just want to say, if you want to develop something, for example, you want to change something in the, why is this not here? Attach project. Where is it? And let's say, let's attach the, we have to do it, where was it? Workshop. I have to use the right one. EventYay Docker. Oh no, it's not here. EventYay tickets. Let's add this one here. And then let's say whatever. I don't know. If you want to what should I change that is easy to see? I mean, that's not so trivial. Staff session event. Where are we? Tickets. What? Yes, we are here. Shop, 0 orders. So, for example, we could. Tests, common. Here. No paid orders, whatever. If you change something in the templates here, for example, where is it? Source, templates, predict space, forms. No. Are common here. No, control, templates, orders, need index, order details. Yeah, so in principle, if you change something here in the templates or in the Python code, all this will automatically run in your invalid Python operator. Yes, I know it's not. So all of these will automatically show up directly in this event here. Also in the code, it is the Gunicon server runs in hot reload, so every change is automatically applied to the actually shown files. Yeah. that is a way to development that should be possible for all changes. What's the state? Did you get it running?
Oh, I did. I think it's running on my side.
Oh,
I
great.
still need to create a super user thing. I have one question. Like in the previous, I think in tickets, you had something called EventYay Commons.
Yes.
What's the purpose of that? Is that supposed to be some entry point?
Yes. So this is in principle. Here, common. Yeah, so you can, you can go here to the dashboard, main dashboard. So what you have here is a list of events, and you can jump to the tickets part, to the talk parts, or the video parts. A video doesn't work. So here, this is, so to say, the common dashboard for, this is implemented in the ticket component, but is then linked to the /common. It shows links to the tickets part, to the talk parts of all the events, so that you can go directly to there and you can create organizers, everything there. So that is the part that is added that connects somehow all the components into one dashboard for the front end.
Okay, so so we started this project with different components, but now the question is how to get from one component to another. I can see that you just changed the URL. Of course, it's the developer approach. People who work with terminal and so on, they're used to that. We can't expect normal users to do that. And so how to create an event, and for example, then that the event gets created also on the talk component. Yeah, we don't want people say, okay, go to the talk component, create everything again. So you can create an event here, and for now it's very minimal, the commons component. It just has very few options to create the event, but it gets created on all components automatically. So this is the beauty, also the languages and so on, like everything gets aligned, and then in the end, like what Norbert showed just now, you will have a kind of like very basic dashboard. We will check later what we can move here as well. For example, there are a few things. If you go to a tickets component, for example,
wait, before. So this is the view for the common view for an event, and so here you also have links to the talk. Tickets and talk dashboard. You can reset it up and change a lot of things, or you can, for example, go to the ticket dashboard for this event here, and then set up like what kind of tickets you want to sell to your attendees.
Yeah. So if you go, for example, to settings here, like as an example, like what we could change in future on the left-hand side. So we have like different settings, like let's say the email settings. On the left,
here, this one.
The email settings. So if you click there, you can see that, for example, we can have a sender name. We can every event can define their own sending email, their SMTP address, things like that. If you go now to the talk, you click on the talk component on the there.
Oh,
it's not working. Why it's not working?
Interesting. Oh, interesting.
Maybe if you take the URL talk out from the talk/talk, maybe it's like, usually it's a URL problem. Can you take from the URL just talk? Maybe sometimes that's really solving the problem. No. Take a step back.
That's interesting.
Maybe just go to talk, delete everything and see if the event is there or not.
Yeah. Oh. Wait. Oh, it wasn't generated.
Now go to events.
No, it's not here. Yeah. Okay, something failed here. Good idea. So what you normally then do, good example, something failed in the setup. I don't know. Well, you see here, that's development, right? You see that something failed here. Error sending back webhook to talk component, unaddressed URL. That is interesting because that was working. Yeah. Yeah, I had it working, so I need to check what was going on. It could be that from the SSL certificate, or some parts didn't, so weren't properly installed. Normally, it then fails. Here, for example, here there's the error sending webhook to talk component unauthorized. So that could be that, for example, the SSL certificate wasn't created correctly or something. So yeah, well, this is then where you start debugging code.
So, but I can mention what I wanted to show. Yeah. So, for example, like we have the same settings on the talk component and then also on the tickets component. Yeah. So basically, if you want to send an email to speakers, you will configure the SMTP, everything like in the speakers component. But if you want to send now an email to attendees who got a ticket, you again have to configure this. So this could potentially be a component that you move to the common area. So you just configure it once.
We can explain it here.
Yes, and you bridge them, but we probably have to like create a hook or something, on API. So even though it's visually it's quite a simple change, like right, yeah, and this is also like, so you see these kind of questions that are coming up now. We base our work on like existing open source projects. We also use components that we developed previously for the EventYay system in the whole infrastructure, because what you see here is not the only thing that we have. You experience, for example, at the FOSSASIA Summit now that we have a badge component and a badge check-in, which is another component that we developed previously already. So there are more components to this, but the question now is, what do we do? Which way should we go now? Moving forward, yeah, should we like maintain like different components? There is a thing that, for example, the talk component is still using pre-talks as a base, and we would like to stay compatible because like there are other developers working on it, and that's also a question to you, Norbert. Now, after you made this happen, this huge one Docker build, everything built, what do you think? Like, what should we do now?
Oh, well, I mean, just first of all, I mean, in the real deployment, it is working. If you look here, this is the common component on the real deployment, a test event where we have a tickets dashboard here and the talk dashboard here so that was created from the common front end. So in the real deployment, it actually works to properly create these things, but there are some, like, because there are a lot of methods. What time's up, I'm told. So we have probably the next talk. Yeah, thanks everyone. I hope you could follow along, and I mean, hopefully this video will be also useful for